Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 52 of the Houston Astros franchise here on MLB The Show 20. Today our Houston Astros have another day off after completing a 2-series road trip, and we're going to take our first look at the top prospects in the 2021 MLB Draft. So we're going to go down to college ball, starting off with Florida, playing against Vanderbilt. If you're excited for this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below for more franchise content. I know I love these episodes. So the first player we're going to take a look at, 4 gameplay clips down in college. And the first one is starting pitcher Dennis Mock, the 21-year-old from the University of Florida right-hander. And this is everybody's consensus top pitcher in the draft. You know, former 5-star recruit coming out, one of the best pitchers in college baseball this past season. Had a rough game in this one, as you can see, facing Vanderbilt at home. But other than this one, he pretty much dominated the NCAA. He's everybody's favorite, but he isn't necessarily my favorite. He reminds me last year of my scouting of Kurt Dozier, the lefty out of Maryland, who went relatively high, number 2 overall pick this past year, that everybody seemed to really enjoy coming out of college. I don't doubt Dennis Mock will be phenomenal coming out as I read off my positives and negatives, but I do think he will take some time to develop in the minors and won't be a right out of the gate pitcher you can plug and play in about a year or two. But he throws 4 pitches, throws a 4-seam fastball, a curveball, a splitter, and a circle change. Stands at 6'4", 214 pounds. And his biggest thing is he throws some heat. I mean, look at these fastballs. That one right there was 101. I mean, he will blow these pitches by people. And he's throwing this in college ball at the age of 21. So he throws phenomenal heat. He's going to get lots of pitchers, or have lots of batters to miss. And he also has pretty solid break. I mean, he doesn't just rely on his fastball. His curveball's good. His splitter's good. His circle change is good. So he's got a lot of positives. Very solid pitcher who, when he's on, he's literally almost untouchable. That being said, though, he does have some negatives in my books. He does allow a lot of hits, as you've seen. You know, his hit per 9 rating isn't the highest. As you can see, he got rocked in the first and he kind of settled down here. And he can lose control sometimes. I mean, he throws heat, which allows him to miss his pitches down the stretch. And when he's throwing heater, he also can allow a lot of home run balls. So Dennis Mock is a very consistent. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes number 1, but he would probably not be my pick at number 1. Here's his ratings. You can see he throws heat, but the other vitals are a little on the low side. They probably will improve, but there is his ratings. Second player we'll look at is we're going to go into some ACC action of the Louisville Cardinals playing the North Carolina Tar Heels. Start off on the Louisville side. We got shortstop Ahmad Sisk. As you can see, he's leading off for Louisville today. He's from Illinois originally, but decided to come down a little bit south and commit to Louisville to play some college ball. He definitely got offers from a lot of teams, both Big Ten, SEC, and ACC, but decided to come to Louisville to play his ball. He's 20 years old, and he's a shortstop standing at 6'5", 232, so a very interesting build, which is very surprising that he's able to stay at the shortstop position. He can also play second base. That's where I think he may end up in the future, just based on his build and stuff like that. Some positives from, though, he can swipe some bags, so 6'5" with some speed, so one of the most intriguing, interesting players I've seen so far. And he's got good hitting upside for a shortstop. He's got some power upside, he's got some contact upside, and I think he can get something done with the bat. And if you look at his attributes, he's just basically solid across the board. Like, he's got a lot of solid traits. Nothing like stands out besides his ability to swipe those bags, sitting at 6'5", not with elite speed either. Just very good at timing the pitcher's jump. But with that being said, he doesn't have anything really defining at the plate as North Carolina wins this one 7-4 over Louisville. You know, just basically 55, 60s above average across the board, so nothing really sticks out, but very solid and very intriguing player who can definitely get it done with the bat when needed. We're going to stay in this series, though, this little 2-game series in North Carolina, to take a look at a Tar Heel pitcher by the name of Eric Jolly, 6'5", 186, 20 years old, and right-handed thrower. And as you can know, if you remember, we drafted a player out of North Carolina last year, Cliff Levin, who is our 3rd-round prospect, the outfielder. But going back to North Carolina for this one, this is probably my favorite player in the draft. I like Eric Jolly a lot. You know, last year, remember, I liked Andy Rader out of Oregon State. Kind of reminds me of that Andy Rader type. Throws a four-seam fastball, a slider, a changeup, a curveball, sits 6'5". You know, he throws gas as well. It might not be as fast as, you know, Dennis Mock, so to speak, but he can throw some heat. We just saw 99. There's a slider crack in 89. But I do think he has better control than Dennis Mock. He can control those sliders. He can control those changeup, hit the fastballs on the corner, as he had an absolute dime of a game here against Louisville. Allowed 2 earned runs, one of them after he was pulled out of the game, which you'll see in a second. And he's got nice break on his pitches as well. His changeup will drop off the table. His curveball loop slider will run east to west. As you can see, he gets a 90 swing and miss slider that time. And then Henry Davis up 2-2 to him. Look at that changeup location on the outside. Nothing you can really do with that one. There was a negative though. He can allow some hits, as you can see right on cue. There's a hit into left field. As the game starts to go on, the batters start to get a hold of him. His hitting starts to give up a little bit. And his fielding is not very good, as although he does flash a nice piece of leather here. You're not going to really see that often out of Eric Jolly. So that is him coming into the 6th inning now, as he finally gives up his first run of the game, a solo shot to left field. But Eric Jolly, if we had a top pick, obviously we don't. Remember, our Astros don't have a first or second round pick this year, thanks to the sign stealing scandal. But if we did have a high first round pick, Eric Jolly would probably be #1 player that I would target. So whoever gets Eric Jolly will have a solid pitcher. And he probably is, out of all the prospects you see, probably will be the most major league ready, the fastest clubs are ETAing a 2022 season. So not a lot of time in the minors. I would not be surprised if you see Eric Jolly come into the majors within the next year or two. As you see, he's starting to finally get some hits here. He finally will be pulled. This will be the last inning for him. So he pitched solid innings in this one. And North Carolina does pick up the win. Jolly does get the win in this one. As you can see, with a final score of 6-4, 5 2/3, 7 strikeouts. Here's a look at his ratings. As you can see, very high, and everything across. Will be a solid pitching prospect. But we're going to flip now to the bullpen, as Paul Boglio, a relief pitcher out of Vanderbilt, will be the next one we target. 6'2", 22 years old, so the oldest out of the ones we've seen. He is definitely the best reliever coming out of the draft class. You know, he pitched relief, pitched closer at Vanderbilt. He's listed as a closing pitcher, as 22 years old, originally from Missouri, but got pried by Vanderbilt, like the history of Vanderbilt, like the program's success, and decided to go there and spur offers from his home states, as well as Arkansas and Texas A&M, to name a few. But sitting 6'2", he's a left-handed pitcher as well, so he can also double as that lefty specialist out of the pen. Won't require a ton of deb as well, maybe not as quick as Eric Jolly, so to speak, but Paul Boglio won't need a lot of time, which is good, because since he is already 22 years old as well. And another good thing is he doesn't have the fastest gas like some of the other pitchers we've seen, but he can definitely get some batters to miss. I mean, he's going to get his fair share of strikeouts out of the pen. As Vanderbilt wins this second game we've seen against Florida at 3-2. Didn't come in to close this one, but on a home game against Florida, he does come in out in the 9th inning for this one. Had a solid season to start. And he's got a 4-run lead in the 9th inning. A couple of negatives from Paul is you will see once he gets a batter on base, probably after this batter. Yes, he does. No, he strikes him out as well. But his whatchamacallit, his windup in the stretch is really slow, and that for me that's a pet peeve of mine. I hate seeing that slow release. You'll see right here, look, he has a runner on first. Look at that pause in his stretch. I mean, they're gonna have to probably work with him on that one, or he's gonna give up a lot of stolen bases, and that's not something you want to see in the 9th inning, but something you can work out maybe. He can't allow his walks. He didn't allow any in this category, but he can't allow some walks. That's another negative on Paul Boglio. As you can see, his control not also the fastest. But that's going to do it with the 4 that we looked at. I also had one more I didn't get any clip of, and that's coming out of high school, Rich Kinsing, an 18-year-old from Alabama. He is an Auburn commit, so if he doesn't get signed, expect to see him at Auburn in the next few years. And he's got solid ratings across the board, but his biggest thing is he can literally play any position other than catcher. Look at that, all across the board. that in itself makes him an intriguing prospect, as well as his attributes. So Rich Kensing, I don't see him not being a high pick. It's just, does he sign with his club, or does he go to Auburn to play baseball in the next year? But that's going to do it for the scouting part. Next up, we have a road series, another Battle of Texas edition, as the Rangers are off to a hot start before finally returning home for a 3-game set against the Toronto Blue Jays. On the mound will be Josh James, who had a solid outing the last time we saw him going up against Kyle Gibson. But that'll be in the next episode. We're going to wrap it up here for the draft recap. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode looking at the college ball, taking a look at some future prospects. Hopefully it helps with the immersion of this series. But if you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below and tell me which one is your favorite prospect that you saw in this one. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.